Mauna Kea.
Hey guys, welcome back to Talk Story, the podcast where we build communities together, one conversation at a time. Today I have a special Mauna Kea podcast for you concerning the issues surrounding the building of the 30-meter telescope on Mauna Kea. So far the media has covered both sides of this issue, those that are for TMT and those that are against. But this issue stems even farther than just the telescope being built on Mauna Kea. And in this podcast, I hope you get a glimpse of what the people feel about this whole issue. Enjoy.
Imua kanaka. Iku mau mau ikua. Iku mau mau ikua. Iku mau mau iku hulu hulu. Ikala na vau ikua. Ikula na vau ikua. Ikua huki ikua ko. Ikua mau a mau kai ulu. E huki e kulia hi.
Aloha, I'm Maelia Loebenstein-Carter, kumuhula of Kapahula o Kawinoyo wa Ahila.
Hi, aloha, I'm Snowbird Bento, kumuhula of Kapahula o Kalelehua.
We're here today at the state capitol, standing in solidarity. I wouldn't call it a protest, but I would say that we're standing in solidarity for our Aina, for our Kupuna, for our Lahui, Hawaii, and to ka ko'o, our brothers and sisters who are up at Mauna Kea on the front line and who are standing for our kupuna, for our mauna, but more so for what is pono, and what Governor Ige has proclaimed as a state of emergency, we do not agree with.
I would say that the people who have come today gathered off of a call. We need to have access to our land, and we need to have access to the places that our kupuna had access to, or else we cannot practice what our traditions are. We're not going to go silently. We're going to treat people with dignity and with respect. That's all we ask for in return. When you hear our voices, don't just say you hear us. Do something. Do something that is for the benefit of more than a small few. This place is called Hawaii for a reason. And we have no place else as Kanaka Hawaii to go to call home. We have no other kulaivi to call home. This is it for us. And so we will continue to stand in Kapualoha. We will continue to remain solid as a people. And we invite anyone, it doesn't matter if you're Hawaii or not, you're a hula person or not, to come and engage in dignity and respect and aloha and find out more about why the Lahui Hawaii and the people of Hawaii are standing up against TMT.
I think it's so beautiful to see Hawaii all coming together in unity. Like, this past few months, it's been crazy to see the support of everybody. Like, you know, there's no sides, there's no different islands. Everybody's just all together and coming strong, you know? And this is something that we needed for a very long time. Man, if we did this years ago, they would know that no means no. Why can't you just get the message? We've been telling you no. Like, we don't want to hear. Why would you still try and push it? And people are up there. People has left their jobs, you know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing to what we're fighting for. And it's not just about the Mauna. It's just about respect of the culture. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. I'm going to see how my people come together and truly try and fight back for our culture and, you know what I mean, and show the world that we are a different breed. We just got to keep, you know, aloha aina.
Aloha aina. I am a Kiai of the Mauna. I have been an attorney representing the Kiai in 2015 and will again in 2019. Mauna Awakea, our sacred mountain, where in the Vawakua, the realm of the gods, we renew our solemn oath, our kuleana, tuku kiai mauna, call for an end or for a permanent halt to construction of the TMT. and end to further desecration of our sacred Mauna. It is in the Vau Kanaka, the realm of man, that the multitudes of kupuna, men, women, and children rise up in kapu aloha in defense of our Mauna Awa Kea and in support and protection of our people. It is an expression of our people, I believe, that is among the most peaceful, in defiance of government operation, in defiance of economic and political agenda. But again, it is among the most peaceful defiance and demonstrations, I believe, in the history of our people and history of all people. Until that moment where we convince TMT, the University of Hawaii, government and its agencies, that is best to embrace the mana'o and consciousness of our people and make the best determination that the TMT not be built or be built elsewhere. While important discussions, including reawakening of Hawaiian national consciousness and continuity of the Hawaiian Kingdom as a subject of international law, and the search for solutions to these discussions, have organically emerged from the protection of our Mauna. In the present, these discussions are not and will not be primary. It is the unified singularity of our focus in kapu aloha that is and ultimately will be the reason why there will be no construction of the TMT on our sacred Mauna Awa Kea. Ku Kiai Mauna.
So first question I have to ask is, I've seen a bunch of your videos and you've showcased people doing Kukiai Mauna in TSA.
Ew.
And I gotta ask, what does it mean to be a Kiai or a protector of Mauna Kea?
It's funny that you bring up that video, first of all, because after I did that video about the Kukia Imana position or the pose that you do when you get scanned through TSA, I had a trip, like maybe a couple days later, where I flew to Maui. And I was trying to be pretty incognito because I wasn't sure whether or not the TSA, the people in TSA was going to accept me or be pissed off because I heard that a lot of people started doing it. And so I went through, but luckily they were really cool with it. And once I got in the scanner, they all just kind of rushed the area and they were like, you better do it. You better Kukiai Mauna loud. And I had a blast doing it. And I think that it's super fun that everybody's taking it so wholeheartedly. But for me, what a kiai is, it's having a kuleana of protecting or guarding a person, place, or thing. Kiai in this instance for the Mauna is protecting not just the Mauna, but having kuleana of protecting the people. So not just the place, not just the Mauna, but the people, so the kupuna and everybody else that's a part of protecting the Mauna as well. So they're protecting the kupuna in the tent, the keiki that's there, all the ohana and the friends and the families that are from here or from all the other nations around the world that are visiting. They're protecting the culture and the practices and providing balance to everything. And I think that it's such a beautiful thing to witness. And for me, being able to be a kiai in my own little way, it's such an honor to witness, but an honor to be a part of, because I feel like for me, I get to provide balance in creating joy in such a in unfortunate circumstances, but at the same time, it's a beautiful thing because it's bringing people together. And so the circumstance was actually a blessing in disguise, and we never even know.
Definitely. And going off of that topic about bringing the community together, you're very active on social media, and I want to see your perspective of how social media has helped to spread awareness about this issue.
Man, I am so grateful for social media. I think we're in a time that we should truly feel grateful as people, because what normally would happen in this kind of a situation would be that the people on the Mauna would be silenced because they don't have the money. Because normally when if you wanted to get your voice heard, you needed money. And so the people on the Mauna is not the ones with the billions of dollars that can push ads and push whatever narrative they want through media, through radio, through TV. It would be those big corporations. But because of social media, the people have a voice, and they don't only have a voice, but it's forcing the other media's outlets to be accountable for what they put on air. And so I think it's beautiful because we get to see the whole truth. We get to see both sides of the story. And there's that saying, there's this side of the story, there's that side of the story, and then there's the truth. And so you get to see everything as a whole and as a collective. You get to see different people's perspectives of why they're there and what they're there for and who they're there for. And social media, for me, has helped me become more aware of this specific situation on the Mauna. I was aware of it, but I wasn't educated on it. But what it did help to do for me was connect me with people that now I consider best friends, like Mehana Kihoi, who's on the Mauna and has been a protector since ever since, and Havane Rios and her mom, and Malia and Ruth. And
shout outs to you guys.
Yeah, shout outs to them. I mean, Kaho'okahi too. I never knew them before social media, and we met through social media, and then was able to meet in person. And I think the evolution of that specific thing is important, because we can have friends on social media, but being able to listen and learn from one another, and then being able to meet in person, is so beautiful. Yes,
definitely. So as a last statement, what do you want to tell our audience today? What kind of final message you want to tell them?
I think it's so important for us to be better listeners, especially in this day and age where we all feel like we know it all. And I think the term is like keyboard warriors, and it's so easy to state your opinions, and all of a sudden everybody is a expert at everything. You got Yelp, and all of a sudden somebody's like, one of those food critics.
Very true, yeah.
But it's so important for us to just listen and be okay with not knowing, or just be okay with wanting to know more. I've learned so much from this this whole situation and this whole blessing in disguise, not just about the sacredness of the mountain, but also about how beautiful humanity is, and how much we can learn from each other. Like, everybody has specific skills, and being able to, maybe you don't need to know anything about politics, but you follow people in politics like Kanya Le'ing, or you follow Andria Tupola, because they can teach you a thing or two that you may not know, that may help you in the future. And knowing everybody's specific skills, being able to listen and learn about one another, helps us to know how to help each other better. And at the end of the day, what ends up happening is it gives us the ability to have a better mind going into things, because if not, then what will happen is we just suffer from a lack of data.
No, true. Yeah.
And nobody wants that. I mean, that's like selling a Windows 98 computer in this day and age. Like, nobody wants that. That's outdated. You want the stuff with the newest information, the newest hardware and software. And so you have to be that. You have to be able to update yourself with the newest hardware and software. And so if we can be that, then we can be our best selves to help others.
Thank you again for joining me on my show, Pashyn.
Yeah, thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
This was good fun.
So for yourself, you've been closely keeping tabs on TMT. So can you tell our audience about the history and how long this has been going on?
Sure. My name is Andria Tupola. I was a representative for the west side of the island of Oahu. And the first time that I held a town hall in regards to Mauna Kea was in 2015. And a lot of people, especially legislators, were kind of skeptical. Why is the girl from Waianae having town halls about something in Mauna Kea? But I kid you not, you go up to Mauna Kea, everybody from Waianae is over there. So it definitely was not a local issue. It was a statewide issue. It wasn't geographical, because everybody who's in support or in opposition is all over the state, all over the world. So the first town halls that I had were mainly in regards to the auditor's report. So as a legislator, you know, we get auditor's reports, and we are required to read them and then determine what parts of the law are we going to implement to either, one, alleviate the situation, or two, stop a problem that's happening. Now, there's a lot of people that probably have not seen the quantity of auditors' reports that were written about Mauna Kea, but the first one was in 1998. So bear in mind that the first telescope went up in 1968. So it was about 30 years later that finally the auditor stepped in and said, you know what? UH is not managing the mountain correctly, and these are all the areas in which they're deficient, and this is what they need to fix. Then following 1998 was 2005, then was 2014, then was 2017. So each of the auditors' reports, it basically highlighted the negligence of UH and that they were not managing the mountain correctly.
And right now there's 13 telescopes there. I'm not sure how many of them are decommissioned, but right now, I mean, I just looked up, you know, Mauna Kea, and then looked on Google Maps, and I see at least maybe 5 telescopes just surrounding, which is crazy, because it's like, why do we need another one then? You know?
Yeah, and you know, obviously, for the astronomy community, I know that it's important. I don't think anybody who's up there doesn't want to see science or astronomy progress in the world. But there is something to be said about sacred sites, and there is also something to be said about the comprehensive management report. So in 2009, a comprehensive management report was written. This is about 600 pages. So if you want to do some light reading, just go ahead and Google that. But in the comprehensive management report, they were required to look up the cultural significance of the mountain. Now, this part is thick. So, I mean, when you read it, there is a lot to be read about it. They went and talked to kupuna. They went and did archaeological site visits. They went and found all of the burial sites. One of the sentences in the cultural significance portion of this report actually said that the amount of cultural and sacred sites was unlike they've ever seen in any other place of Hawaii. I didn't write that.
Wow.
That is a UH document. You know, the UH that's supposed to be a culturally preserving university, they wrote it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, is the state going to go ahead and read their own documents and uphold it? That's the question to be answered.
So, Ige, during the kind of the beginning of this whole TMT Mauna Kea movement in the past maybe couple weeks, he actually issued an emergency proclamation. What was your reaction to that? And what did your family feel at that moment?
So I went up to the Mauna on Thursday. So I think he had issued the proclamation the day before. And surprisingly, he actually landed on Hawaii Island same day I landed. I was landing in Kona. They landed in Hilo because they were going over to Waimea for a hospital blessing. Long story short, they have a press conference later that day talking about that there's alcohol and drugs on the Mauna. And I actually did a real quick little live on my IG about what I thought about it. So I had 3 specific points. First off, I said that I personally had went up there and with my own eyes witnessed that they were practicing things that were keeping the community community safe. Nobody was allowed to smoke even cigarettes. There was no people that were drinking alcohol. There was no drug use. And I'm not saying that that didn't happen. Maybe it did. All I'm saying is that I used my own eyeballs and I went and I looked with my own eyes. And anybody can do it. You went there, right?
Yes, I did.
Oh, anybody can go and see it. So before we make any statements based upon what we heard, let's go use our own eyes and look at it ourselves. Secondly, is that I said an emergency proclamation was issued for the public safety and welfare, regardless of viewpoint. Now, I didn't write that. That's written in the emergency proclamation. So if we are going to protect the safety of all public, regardless of viewpoint, then what the governor said in regards to the sanitation issues, the lack of lighting, the safety, well, then the state should address that because the emergency proclamation said it was going to make sure that all public was safe. So then go ahead, buy some more porta potties, go put up lights, make a crosswalk. So I just don't think that there should be an emergency proclamation that's only pertinent to one population, not all. And the third part that I brought up was in regards to the diverging thought. So he basically said that there is all this contention, that people were unsure about why they were up there. Did you feel that when you went there? Were people confused? Like,
no, it was very organized.
So again, those are the 3 points that I brought up in regards to, the emergency proclamation and the statements that were made that day. As you know, since that day, they've retracted some of those statements and now the emergency proclamation is no more. But it's just another example of our government, one, being unorganized. Two, you are crying out that there is lawlessness up there, but you refuse to hold up your own laws. And you're
assuming things.
Yeah. So you're wondering why it's chaotic. Let's start from square one. Do you uphold your own laws? Done.
And a lot of dysfunction, it starts from the top and it trickles to the bottom too. You know?
I think what they're trying to do is put a Band-Aid over something that you just got to dig it out from the root.
Right.
How you can put a Band-Aid over UH's mismanagement for 30-something years for all of the things they're supposed to do. One, they're collecting fees illegally by having tourists go up there. And UH does not collect fees for anything. They are not a tourism organization. The auditor called them out on that.
Very true.
Yeah, the reissuing of the permits because they are sub-leasees of DLNR. Have they redone that? No, they haven't. Have they made administrative rules? Wait, hold on. They haven't. The administrative rules are required statewide when you have an agency that's managing. So with no rules, it's obvious why there's chaos up there. They have nothing set, but yet they want to pursue forward with a project as big and for them as important as this. Why would you do it all haphazard? So I have nothing to say about their own lack of procedures, but there is a reason why it's not progressing.
And for those people that haven't been on the Mauna yet, I gotta say it's something to experience and to see for yourself, because for me, it was a little life-changing because of the fact that I've seen more organization than I even thought. I definitely thought there was organization, but I didn't realize how layered it was. And that's just the community up there, and that's just the heart of those people, because for me, that was great to see, and it was rewarding to see, because I was thinking, wow, my efforts to support the people that are protecting Mauna Kea are not in vain, because there's people that are really striving to push for protecting Mauna Kea, and I truly support that even more now.
I think it's great. I mean, it honestly shows that, one, there can be a huge amount of community organization that exists without the government.
Right.
Okay? Because nobody in the government went up there and made all those charges. So a lot of people are asking me, like, could something like that be, happen to address the drug epidemic? Probably. Could something like that happen to build homes for homeless? Probably. So I think that it's showcasing that there can be a initiative, a kako effort, a unifying of a message that is so strong that people are able to get themselves in order, which leads me to believe that there are many systemic issues in our state that we could start to handle, knowing what we know about the strength of our people.
So for a lasting statement, what would you want to tell everybody throughout the world and about this issue right now? What do you want to tell them?
Well, my stance has always been the same. I believe that not only is it about protecting sacred sites, but let's get real honest about the fact that the Hawaiian people have been disadvantaged for years, and that type of generational hurt, I think, is now coming forward as far as the state's lack of support. Not just for sacred sites. I mean, we could go on about Hawaiian housing. We could go on about the culture, the language.
Definitely.
You know, my kids go to Hawaiian immersion because I wanted my kids to learn the language. I wanted us to be a part of perpetuating the Hawaiian culture, not just in the community, in our lives. So I think the message I have for people is that, one, yes, support Mauna Kea. Yes, understand the issues that it's about, but live it. You know, like, live what you're about. Don't just talk about it. Don't just post about it. Like, be about it. I mean, my kids, I try to teach them to be about it. Don't just talk about doing community service. Go out and do it. You know, don't just talk about the Hawaiian culture. Go out and learn it. Learn the language. So I think that's the message really for any culture, not just the Hawaiian culture.
Definitely.
Right? There's cultures across the world that feel the exact same way we are, as far as, you know, the disillusion of their language, or maybe the disadvantagedness that they've had from the government against them. So we are fighting this battle together, shoulder to shoulder, arm locked in arm. And I think that moving forward, it'll only make our people more resilient, more strong, and more resolute to stand together.
Thank you again for joining me, Andria. Really appreciate it. As someone who is the leader, or who has been kind of the main leader here at Mauna Kea, can you tell us about the community here? It's something that I don't think the media really covers.
Yeah, well, and to that point, you know, this isn't the works of an individual or a few individuals or a group. This is the product of community and lahui coming together. What we have here is amazing. I don't quite know how to describe it. We came here on July 12th with 13 vehicles and less than 40 people. And within days, that number grew to the hundreds, which ended up into the thousands. And we've experienced numbers up here that may reach maybe 5,000 or more people at any given time.
Right.
And so we have a kitchen crew. We have luas being taken care of each and every day. We have, you know, medics for, you know, physical health as well as the mental health with the you know, we have psychologists here.
Right.
We have lomi practitioners.
Yeah. Massages right there.
Massages everywhere you go. I mean, we had a barber shop the other day. That's where I got my hair cut.
Oh, nice.
We have everything, and really none of this was planned. This was just get here, we'll make it happen. And people from all over Hawaii, from all over the world, have stepped up and supported in whatever way they can. And because of that, this is the result. So it's really hard to explain, because we never, ever anticipated this. We hoped for something close to this. We prayed about it. But to say that we expected this would be an absolute lie.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's a
and I have so
testimony.
much mahalo for all of the people in our community who have come out to make this happen.
And talking about people all over the world, can you talk to us a little bit about the support you've gotten globally from, like, Germany, and even the Rock came here just a few days ago, and Damian Marley did a performance, and Jack Johnson performed today.
Yeah. I mean, it helps a lot, because especially back in 2015, the other side really tried to push the narrative that we were against science, we were against education, and we were against progress. And so when you have the world standing with you, it's really, really hard to isolate this little group of natives and say, you know, it's a native thing, and Hawaiians want to live in the past. It's not that. It is, in fact, education that has brought us to this point where we made the decision that we need to take a stand.
Right.
We cannot allow this to happen any longer. Whether that's been Hawaiian language education, you know, the Hawaiian
History.
charter schools, the Hawaiian studies programs in the university. We have many, many enlightened and educated individuals here standing with us. And then when you mention, you know, The Rock, last I checked, he's kind of busy, right? So for him to take time out of his schedule to fly to Hawaii Island specifically for this says a lot. And I think a lot of people would have a hard time looking at him and saying he's against this, he's against that.
Right.
He's maybe the most successful, you know, person in Hollywood at this point. And he comes from the islands, and so he came in and he shared with us that the world is watching. And so we've seen support from Germany, we've seen support from Japan, we've seen support in Aotearoa. Half of the states in the United States of America have shown support. Every single island is standing in their own way. And every single island is represented here on Mauna Kea. It's not just a Hawaii island thing. And again, it's not just a Hawaii thing. It has gone worldwide. And how that happened, I'm not exactly sure. But I'm appreciative of it. And I know that the support coming from all over the world is truly helping and strengthening our stance here.
And it just strengthens the community part and unity about not just people here, but all over the world are coming together and really supporting what we're doing here, you know.
Coming together in aloha.
Yes.
That's what this is all about. This is about aloha for our land, aloha for our resources, aloha for each other, and aloha for our kupuna and our mo'opuna who need a home and who need a future. And so aside from protecting Mauna Kea and stopping the further desecration through the building of the 30-meter telescope, this is about people coming together and realizing what we can do when we're on the same page. I mean, and I know this is at a very, very low level, but there are certain things that we've achieved here in this pu'uhonua that the state of Hawaii hasn't achieved in years, right? We have free education. We have our own university going on. We have free healthcare. We have our own medics group. We have free childcare. We have, places where people can leave their keiki and where they can be safe here while they go to the other side to do the things that they need to do. And so it's not about money. It's not about budgets. It's not about parties. It's about aloha. It's about unity. And when you come together, there's nothing you can't do. And I think that we are demonstrating that and showcasing that each and every day.
So for people that are afar, like maybe they're in England or even like Italy, we actually had someone from Italy actually here today to speak. But for those people, how can they support here and how can they support your guys' cause?
Continue to spread the message. Social media is a super valuable tool that we have today. And even the access that we have to social media today is very different from what it was in 2015. I mean, I don't think Facebook had a Facebook Live in 2015. There wasn't the Instagram TV, right? So all of these things are, and Twitter has blown up. So these are things that allow us to get our message across the world in an instant. And so, and people have been doing that. We mahalo that. We encourage them to continue. And there's also the people who are in countries that are invested in this telescope, right? China, Japan, Canada, India, and other universities in the United States of America. And so if those people can put pressure on their governments and their officials and their investors, and say that this is not ethical, right? This is not right. And there's an astronomy petition going around right now that has over 900 signatures. And that petition says that we have, I quote, we have an ethical duty to protect the rights of the people over our science. Otherwise, our science is unethical. And so the TMT has the legal right to proceed, but they don't have the moral right to proceed. And I think that's been, again, expressed and demonstrated throughout the world. And so the more pressure we can put on these people, right, just through messaging, I think helps us a lot.
So for a lasting thought, what do you want to tell people across the world? What do you want to tell them about the heart of the people here and anything you want to say?
That Hawaiians are a real people with a real culture and that we should be respected and recognized as such, right? Just like the Japanese people, just like the Chinese people, just like every other nation and country around the world, we continue to exist. And it is our human right to determine for ourselves how our sacred places should be protected, how our land should be managed. And really, that's what we're fighting for, is that we have genealogical connections to this land, to this aina. And we have rights to this aina that are constitutionally protected. But they're not being protected. They're being dismissed and infringed upon. Manipulated. So our stance is not about stopping a telescope. Our movement is not about stopping the progress of science. Our movement is about stopping irresponsible development in Hawaii that goes against the will and the wishes of the people of this place. And so whether they were trying to build a telescope, whether they're trying to build a Hawaiian cultural center, or whether they're trying to build, a Petco, we are against development on Mauna Kea. And we're trying to protect the land as best as we can. And that's all it is. The telescope can be built in other places. The TMT has the right to proceed in the Canary Islands. They have all permits in place. and they also don't have any opposition from the people of that place. And so TMT is not optionless, right? It's not Hawaii or nothing. They have other options. But for us, it's Hawaii or nothing. This is the only place we can be Hawaiian. This is the only place our culture can exist. This is the only place our language can exist. Again, a Japanese person living in California can go back to Japan anytime they want, and their culture will be there, their people will be there, their language will be there. We don't have any other place to go. And so if we do not protect this place, Hawaiians will not have a future in Hawaii. And we're fighting for our existence and our right to exist as we need to, as our kupuna did. And stopping TMT would not solve all of the issues, right? There's a lot of issues that have taken place over the years, and there's more issues that are happening right now. But this would prevent, furthering this this marginalization, this disenfranchisement of Kanaka. And so we're just fighting to protect our land. We're not fighting to stop a telescope. They can move to the Canary Islands today if they wanted to, and they can move forward with their building, and they'd get it done much quicker than they will get it here, because we are committed and confident that it will not happen on Mauna Kea. We will stop it. I think in 2015, there were people who were on certain sides of the issue or maybe didn't have a perspective on the issue,
Right.
and that didn't change. But what I'm seeing now is that a lot of people are changing their minds and their perspectives on this issue because of the fact that people are taking a stand, how we're taking a stand, and even the information that's coming out, from our end, as well as the information that's coming out from the TMT and the state of Hawaii. But our numbers grow each and every day. And that's something that maybe wasn't the case back in 2015 when we stopped the construction and then beat them again in the courts. But, I mean, each and every day we ask the question, who's here for the first time? And hundreds of hands go up. And so people come and people go, right? Not everybody can be here day in and day out, because contrary to what the media and the opposition would like people to think, we're not jobless protesters, right? We have jobs. We have commitments in the community. We have families, and we're engaged. And so for me and for many others being here, we're sacrificing all of those things to protect this. And I think that's something that can't go, unnoticed. But there are others who are not able to make those same sacrifices. And that's just the reality of the situation. But they make the sacrifice for the time that they can. They come here when they can. They go back to, to do their things. But we know that they're going to come back when the time is needed. And right now we're we're kind of in a lull. We're at a stalemate. Law enforcement hasn't made their way up the Mauna in, I'm not even sure how long it's been, but a week or two. But we anticipate that time will come again. And I believe wholeheartedly that when the kahea goes out to our people, that they will make that sacrifice, and they're going to come here, and they're going to stand with us in Mauna Kea, and we're going to stop the desecration.
I was in awe when I stepped foot over here, and I was just amazed at how amazing and how much aloha is here. So
come here, whether you, no matter what your opinions are, come here, experience the feeling of the people, because that's something real.
Right.
And I think that's something that many people, if not all people who have, any kind of humanity, can understand that. And that's all this is respect for culture and respect for different peoples. And the truth of the matter is that this is our home. This has always been our home. This will always be my home. And we're going to do everything we can to protect it.
Awesome.
Mahalo.
Thank you again. First off, I would like to thank Pashyn Santos and former District 43 Representative Andria Tupola and Kaho'okahi Kanuha for coming on my podcast and talking about why you are protecting Mauna Kea. As for me, I am Japanese and Filipino, and I am not Hawaiian. So you're probably wondering why I decided to get involved with this issue. And first off, I saw the news, and I saw that elderly were being arrested for fighting something they believe in. And then just a few weeks ago, an emergency proclamation was issued in light of this protest of people that are peacefully protesting, and they don't have any weapons, they don't have any resources to fight against an army. They're just fighting for something they believe in. So I decided to go and see what this issue is all about. And because I have this platform, for me having a podcast, I can be able to showcase the real story. And through this journey of finding out what this issue has been really about, I discovered so much more than just a telescope being built on Mauna Kea. I discovered so much generational pain and hurt that has been done to the Hawaiian people. And this issue stems so far in the past that throughout history there's been so much oppression to the Hawaiian people. And Mauna Kea is a symbol for them. It's a sacred land, but it's more to them than just a sacred land. There's their ancestors, there's people that family members who have fought to protect Mauna Kea for generations. And the people that are there now on the Mauna are just fighting for what they believe in. And I had an opportunity to go to Mauna Kea to check out what is really going on, and I've seen so much love and respect. I was blown away by just seeing what I saw. And this video does not even show everything. There's only a glimpse of what's going on Mauna Kea, but if you really want to know, you got to go up there yourself and see, because it's amazing and it's inspiring. For people that are pro TMT, I want to ask you, is having more jobs and advancing science more important than fighting against culture and history that has been preserved for generations? I mean, right now there's 13 telescopes on Mauna Kea, and they're going to tear down some of them just to build a bigger one, which is going to be 18 stories, and it's going to be pretty much the size of a football field on Mauna Kea. To me, that doesn't sound right, because if people have been fighting to protect this land for so many years because of cultural and history and tradition that's been passed down from generations to generations, I think this is a good indicator that we should take a step back and really see what our priorities are. And I think our priorities shouldn't be spending millions of dollars on building a telescope to see what's out there. I think our priorities should be investing in community and building people up and finding ways to preserve culture and be able to fix the problems that are here on Earth. So for those who are pro TMT, even if you're against TMT and even if you're neutral, I will treat you all the same with love and aloha. But for this issue, I will stand with the people that are protecting Mauna Kea. I'm standing with them to help preserve what they have left. So if you feel compelled to donate any money to helping the people on Mauna Kea, or if you want to sign a petition to stop TMT from being built on Mauna Kea, I left some links on the bottom of this YouTube video, and I'll also leave links in my Instagram so that people can find these resources. And I ask that you do your own research and decide on what you want to do with this issue. Just thank you for your time, and as always, I hope you all have a great day. Kukiai Mauna.
Ke ia kamanawa, ke kahea nei, mai ka lani, a i ka moa ana, ho'opali ina aina, malama ka lahui, ho'o mana'o, ina kua mo'o. The time has come, they call upon us from the heavens to the sea. Defend our lands, protect our people as we recall our history. Pane mai, Hawaii moku o ke ave, kokua, na honoa o pi'ilani, ka ko'o mai, Kauai o mano, pa'apu'u me ke one, ka kui hewa. Ku Kiai Mauna.